I'm Jon Altschuler.
I'm Scott Bennett. We've known each other for almost 50 years.
We grew up together on the playground.
And now we're in the foreground and still growing up.
From the playground to the foreground.
Join the conversation. Well, here we are. It's our first episode. I'm Scott Bennett, and eventually he'll learn to say his name. That's Jon Altschuler. And we're friends that grew up on the blacktop, and this is our premiere podcast. Jon, what do you think?
Excited to be here.
Well, first of all, why are you here?
Because you asked me to be here.
And yeah, I asked you to be here, but I've asked you to do a lot of things, Jon. You've mostly never agreed. So what made you want to finally agree to do this?
I just think it'll be fun. I mean, I think you've had the good idea for a while, and we should give it a run.
Yeah, I think so. And, it's not often that, we're 52 years old. And if you think about it, we've been friends for almost 50 years and a lot of life experience in those 50 years, met a lot of people. But it's going to be fun ride for us to sort of share our conversations that we've had over the years. And I think for some people, it'll be interesting. Some will probably tune out. Sure. That's okay. We give them permission, but I'm excited. So tell me, as you think about what we're doing and our relationship, what strikes you about our friendship? Just want to hear about it.
I think it's just a great friendship that's evolved over decades. It started just in elementary school with the simple things that form friendships and when you're that age. And like you said, we've been through a lot of life together, and that's just been fun to be alongside one another during those times. Yeah.
And I've joked with you a lot that, as I look at pictures of our childhood, which you've shared with me on a lot of sports teams, and I like to say it was before they could select you out.
Right.
So I was glad. We played a lot of sports. Well, I watched. You were playing mostly. I was wearing a uniform, but watching. And then to think that here we are, we've watched our own kids do things, our careers. I know that even along the way, when I've had some good ideas in my career and some not so good ideas, I've always called you. You would tell me the truth, what you thought. And it's just funny for me to think that for many years I've been wanting to do this. I wanted people to hear our conversations because as I've come to know you, you're really one of the most interesting guys I know. You have thoughtful questions. You always ask me thoughtful questions. I think I'm better for being your friend, but I think also I appreciate the nature because I didn't have a brother. So you keep me honest like one. So Jon, do you think about your childhood and how it shaped you?
I think from time to time I do. My parents still live here close, so I'm around them quite a bit, and we have discussions that will make me think back to how we all grew up. Yeah. And
as I've come to know you, you really love those years of your life. I think kind of from zero to through high school, I see you comment a lot about in your social life and in social media. It was important to you. Is there anything in particular that you think of stories about us?
I think we grew up with a charmed existence. That was a special time. It was an easy time, I think, relatively, as you think about it. And we made a bunch of good friends, had great parents. Just in general, it was a special time for me.
I like to think about the school carnival. I was a big fan of the Bowie Carnival.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
My favorite thing about the carnival, and I'm still thinking about today, so that should tell you how important it is that they would give away live goldfish. Do you remember that?
I killed one in a day. I said, no, you had to change you had to do something special with the water.
But the fact that they could give away a goldfish, I don't think they could do that today.
No.
And when we played music, I think to get the goldfish, it was like musical chairs or something. And it
wouldn't have been that.
Yeah. But it was a cakewalk.
I'm sure I could have just bought it because I got one. I wasn't going to play those games.
Yeah. But it's funny. We did things, and we had, I think you like to mention that you weren't at my bar mitzvah.
I wasn't invited.
I think you were, but maybe you couldn't go. I don't think you had a suit, probably.
I think I wasn't invited. Let's be honest.
But as is the case, we had a fun time in our neighborhood. And I think we both kind of think about it. Some good friends. We even remember our teachers. We talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
I think those people would be glad to know that they had impact. Here we are sitting, two guys. So I know that our Mr. Shoemaker, he mentioned that I don't know anything about math. You were probably really good at it, right?
He wasn't my teacher, though.
You didn't have him for anything?
No.
I thought
my brother did.
Yeah. He was hard. He was hard on me. Who was your hardest teacher?
Probably Miss Britton, second grade.
Oh, she was strict.
She was great.
Yeah. But you liked her the most, or she was your hardest?
Maybe she was fourth grade. She was definitely the hardest and the strictest.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did she teach you? What do you like, as you recall
Just
it?
discipline and staying focused and adhering to standards.
Yeah. Did you know it then?
I think I sensed it. Yeah. It was different. It was elevated.
Do you think our teachers, like, I think they were amazing as I think about it now. How do you think they would compare to like today's teachers?
I haven't been in class with today's teachers, so I don't really know. I think our teachers had a lot more leeway.
Yeah.
I remember Miss Britton striking a student with a ruler who was deserving of being struck by a ruler. That wouldn't go over so well today, I imagine.
Yeah.
And you can probably imagine who that person was, but I won't say it.
Well, there's like 4 names.
Yeah.
I hope they're not watching.
They're not. This one's not.
Right. So you mentioned, right, that teachers were different then versus now. But do you get close to your teachers now? Do you know them?
So when my kids were younger, we knew the elementary teachers rather well. But with my kids in junior high and high school, it's kind of like when we were growing up, my parents weren't involving themselves with those teachers, and nor Lori and I are not either.
It's interesting. With my girls, I was really involved with the teachers. I actually started a fathering program. I don't know if you know that. So my wife was the PTA president of the elementary school when my oldest daughter started. Yeah. And during her term as presidency, I thought I wanted to support her. So I started a program. There was a national program actually for dads on campus. And it's still like one of the things I'm most proud of in my life. So every day a dad visited the school, was there for the full day.
Okay.
In the school day, they had a schedule where we worked with the assistant principal. So they were around, not just with their kid, they were supporting teachers. They were seeing what a teacher does. And now I know still at that school, it's the most like sought after program. They have a lottery because there's so many dads. They can't.
Is it in addition to a dad's club?
No. So it's separate. It's kind of, there is a dad's club was there, but you register and a dad comes every day. The reason they did this is because when there were shootings in Jonesboro, Arkansas, they felt there weren't enough males on campus to provide an extra layer of security. So there was a national program. We sort of started our own, didn't feel like we needed the support of that. And it still exists today at the school.
That's
I think
good.
a lot of schools have it actually. And so I got to know the teachers, but I think I agree with you. We had some amazing teachers. I think my kids had amazing teachers, but there is a completely different world in terms of how they're able to discipline, teach.
Right.
That it just doesn't even compare.
Yeah, I think my philosophy on parents and teachers is that there's enough parental involvement that they don't also need my involvement. I'm just trying to make it easier on teachers.
Yeah.
And not be around that often. If they need my help, they can call me, but otherwise I'm going to defer to what they say.
Yeah, that's a level of trust.
Sure.
And I feel the same way, John. I think, quite frankly, my kids have been educated in the public school system. I believe that they're doing still good work in the public school system, and I'm going to let them do their thing. Like, I don't know better.
Right.
So, John, I know that you participate and use a lot of social media, and I do too. I don't think I use it as good or as much. But when you think about our childhood, I think it's a hot topic. I think people are thinking about it. Do you think it was great because we didn't have social media?
Perhaps it's one of the reasons. I might say more broadly, it might have been great because we didn't have the internet. I think it was second grade when we left the building and some of the students were aware that Reagan had been shot.
Yeah.
But we didn't really know anything much about it. So you were kind of walking home wondering what happened. Where nowadays, like in real time, you can start to get reports of what's happening. You can reach judgments rather quickly.
You know what you should have been thinking about on that day? It was my birthday.
Was it really?
Yeah, you didn't get me a present, I think. I'm still holding on to that. But honestly, I do, I agree with you.
Just to be clear, when's your birthday?
March 30th.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
That makes sense.
I agree with you. I also think when we would hang out, as we did, because we, of a certain time, we were always playing at each other's houses. That's what we called it anyway. Like I'd go to your house or we'd go to somebody's house. We'd be out in the street. There wasn't video games or any sort of computer or
Those
technology.
were coming pretty quick though. Those were there. Yeah,
they were. You're right. But I still think we lean towards doing stuff at the playground, playing sports, being active.
Right. Just be home by 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing now is I think it's as safe as it's ever been, but the internet makes you think that things aren't safe because you learn of things you otherwise would never have known happened just because of the ubiquity of the internet.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
It's been sort of my opinion throughout this. I mean, we just know things so quickly and it creates a lot of hysteria.
Right.
And the playground has really changed in 50 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't, quite honestly, do you ever look at a playground?
It seems a lot more plastic.
I agree. They don't even remind me. Like, I feel like ours were so simple. Like we had more opportunity to create and imagine. I think now they're like trying to manufacture.
Right. I agree.
You can find us on social media at Playground Foreground.
Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe.
I mean, Jon, we're Dallas guys, right? But something I want to know, I mean, I know you love the news. Where and how are you getting your news right now?
From a combination of sources. I take physical paper still. The Dallas Morning News, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times. That's daily. I get The Economist in the mail on the weekends. Otherwise, just word of mouth, internet, the ways most people seem to be getting their news too.
What about broadcast news? Do you?
I don't watch TV for news. I don't have cable.
Yeah,
still.
that's right. Yeah, you don't have cable.
Right.
I think that's important to know.
Right.
Antenna?
Antenna.
All right.
Built a new house and told the builder I needed an antenna in the attic, and they were just flabbergasted. It's like, seriously.
I mean, I know that to be true, but I think you all appreciate that. So for me, Jon, about 60 days ago, honestly, I think I just stopped. I had stopped the paper before, so I was a pretty big Dallas Morning News guy, Times Herald back then.
Yeah.
Read the Wall Street Journal and other, but not nearly as much as you. But broadcast news, I felt sort of, specifically one channel, but I have cut it off altogether. And it's not because so much as I think that the news is bad, because to your point, I'm getting my news elsewhere. But I don't want to tune in at a certain time. My habits have changed. I think the people that create content understand that. So I've just kind of realized like I don't need to watch it at a certain time anymore. And I frankly already know it at the times they want me to watch it. So I've sort of given up on all forms of local, what I call my news.
I do watch WFAA, Channel 8, Alec 8 for their news.
I stopped.
And their weather.
I stopped. And I think that's what it was hard because I was like you. And it's not.
But what's the point of being uninformed?
Well, it's not that I'm uninformed. I feel like I'm already informed. That's the thing is I think I've already, by the time that those broadcasts, when I used to watch them at the set time were on, I've already know what they're going to say. I've already got the story. They're not telling me anything I don't know. Jon, I'm getting my news, online from people that I choose. So by the time I'm, at 6 or 10 p.m. when they've historically had the news, I've already got what they're going to tell me.
So what do you know about the Dallas Convention Center?
That's a good point. I don't know. You mean specifically in the news right now?
Yeah, I just feel like there's local issues that informed citizens can shape the discussion of if they're informed.
Do you think that that's the new? Do you think that that's where you're getting that? Because let me tell you what I think I know, and then maybe you could share with me.
Right.
I know that there's plans to build they're going to close it, right? It's going to be closed for a while, and they're building a whole new convention center.
They're
right?
planning to, right? They raised a lot of money.
A lot of money,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So, but I when I heard that, I thought, okay, I did hear that, but I didn't hear it from the news. I threw it through my sources, like through people.
Yeah.
Because like people, I probably, maybe even you.
No, I understand. I just think good local news can help shape how you're thinking about things, provide a framework, which makes you more informed.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And I think that they're covering that stuff. If they are, but I think what's happened is they're trying to it's sort of hang on to what they had. So the way that they're providing news today to me isn't the way that I preferred it. And maybe it speaks to my age, right? Old habits are hard to break kind of thing. I want it to be the way the news used to be, but they have a responsibility to present it in a way that a generation expects it to be now. And so maybe that's why I'm turning against that. I noticed it and I knew that you were.
But they're still delivering the news in a newspaper format. I'm trying to understand how that's different than what you grew up with or seeking.
It's not that it's different. It's that I've already gotten the news by the time I'm getting it. So by the time you've received the paper the next day, I think I've already got the news.
Okay.
So, in the days of, is it Paul Revere? Right?
Sure.
Right?
Announcing that the British are coming.
right. I mean, I already know. Okay. I already know, Jon. Right. So I just feel like it again, speaking to our earlier segment about the internet, that has changed it for me. And it's certainly changed the way here I am at 52. And I'm sad to let go of that but it feels like it doesn't serve me the way it once did.
So in terms of kids that we've raised and moving into the world, how are you thinking about how they should be receiving news?
Well, it's interesting. I think you just had a child graduate, right?
Right. I
had a daughter graduate from college a year ago, and we actually talked about this, how they're getting their news. And it's a good topic, right? Like I asked my daughter moved to Chicago after graduating from college. So I actually did a study of one and said, do you know any of the names of the local broadcasters? She's been in Chicago for a period of time. And she couldn't name anybody. So that indicated to me, she's similar to me, is not getting her news from the same. But so I asked her where she is, and she said She said social media, specifically TikTok,
Wow.
Which is a little scary for me, if I'm being honest. What about you?
So I remember my dad just sitting me down and explaining how the newspaper physically worked, like from front page to opinion to letters to the editor, and explaining the difference in news and editorial. And I feel like that's one of the real challenges with the internet is when you take the news on a screen, you can't be certain what's news and what's editorial.
Right.
And even like yesterday, we were watching the Olympics, we were watching the hockey, and Wayne Gretzky was on. And I was explaining to Lori and to Mark that he's known as the greatest hockey player ever.
Yeah.
And Mark asked me, is that an opinion? And I said, well, yeah, technically it's an opinion. That's a good question. But I think it's widely regarded that he's the best hockey player ever.
Yeah.
So I appreciated him like really wanting to qualify
what was an opinion,
what are facts and what are opinions.
And sadly, right, that's because we don't know. And I think that's part of it. One thing I do want to point out that I should have thought about this before is that I think the reason that you're making a push for the newspaper is because you're a regular contributor to our newspaper, aren't you?
I am.
How often do you, a question of burning in my mind is how often are you writing a letter to the editor? Pretty often.
I think I had 12 published last year.
I mean,
yeah, it's a lot. I probably get half of my submissions published.
Yeah. Have they asked you to back off?
No, those are good letters.
Jon, thinking about our kids, since we mentioned them, it's a season of graduation. We just entering summer. I mentioned that you had a daughter. We should refer to what she's doing. You can tell the audience about your daughter and her graduation. We need to give a shout out.
Sure. So my daughter, Elena, my middle daughter, graduated and is going to the University of Texas in the fall.
And you know how I feel about that, right?
I know how you feel about it.
Anyway, I was excited. You've had one that's graduated high school, but high school graduation is a season of life. And of course, it's a change for your family. And I mentioned that my daughter graduated college a year ago similarly. What have you noticed? Are there any lessons both that you think that they took in high school seriously, but that you think will serve them well? But more importantly, for your graduate now, what advice did you give her, or do you plan to give her?
I think I'm better at giving advice, not advice, but it's like my oldest daughter asked me to write down like a list of thoughts as she graduates from college. And I think I'm probably better at advising the collegiate aged person more so than I am the 18-year-old person. I think Lori largely is giving the advice to this kid.
What is Lori saying?
I think it's mostly focused on relationships and on self-belief, if I had to guess. Just believing in yourself, moving forward, and just being cognizant of how you're treating others and how you're being treated.
I love that.
Yeah.
I know for me, Jon, with my daughter having, graduated, she went away to college. So she went to the University of Georgia. So went to Athens, Georgia, which is a big step, going away from home. She didn't want to come back to Dallas, which we were excited about. So she moved from Athens, Georgia to Chicago. So she lives in downtown Chicago. And my advice was, obviously that's a big city. She's living in downtown Chicago. She looks out at Lake Michigan every day. And mine was always pay attention.
We say, keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because I'm reading too much of the news we talked about. But also just that this is the first step. And I talked to her about her briefcase. And what is her briefcase? Preparing things that she will carry with her. And they're not necessarily tangible things, but relationships, to your point, that she's made, things that she's done, things I've had her journaling about things that she finds interesting. And so that she can share those with people. So that's a big piece of advice. And we just visited her because I had a heart transplant, now it's been 402 days ago. And so I couldn't visit her when she first moved. So I just recently went there, and it's really awesome to see our kids grow. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to see them take that next step,
it makes your life more exciting.
Yeah. It's we don't get report cards, Jon, right? As parents, still getting like a C in math. That one's, but we don't get them as parents. But when you see your kids taking that next step, and regardless if it's the way we want, we know that they're progressing. It's really feels good.
Nice job. That's good.
Yeah. Check us out wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
And we're on social media at Playground Foreground.
I mean, so we're nearing the end of our first episode. How you feeling about it?
Good work.
I mean, this took a lot to get here.
It did.
It took a lot of convincing.
Years.
Years.
Years in a new heart.
People are right. Years in a new heart made you do it. People ask me, because I'm saying how long it took. They're like trying to tell me that I think I invented the podcast. because I'm saying I did this like 10 years ago.
That's right.
But so as we consider what people are going to get to see from us, what do you think about what we're going to do? Share with me what's exciting, what people can expect.
I think we'll have good ideas. We'll have good guests. We'll keep it short and crisp. We won't drone on and on for hours. I think we'll have just a tight program.
Yeah.
I think it'll be fun.
I think for me, it's going to be interesting. Some of the topics we cover, and the guests that we have. I mean, Jon, collectively, the people that we know, both
fun.
together, but some that you've recently introduced me to. We know some fascinating people. I mean, some people that people won't know, and even some celebrities that will, I think, want to be our guest, or will ask to be our guest, or convince hard to be our guest. Will be interesting, the conversations we'll get to have. But I think people can expect that they're going to be entertained. They're definitely going to see you make fun of me, which is great. Yeah. I've been taking it for 50 years. But I think more than anything else, they're going to see real friendship, real admiration, because really we're having fun.
I agree.
And I think to get to do this for me personally, having been through what I've been through last year, to do this with a good friend, to go on this journey together, and have these types of conversations and to share it with our universe is just going to be awesome. And I just wonder, what made you the most nervous about today?
I wouldn't say I'm nervous about today. I just like to be part of things that work out well. So I want to do what it takes to make it successful.
So how's my outfit?
Okay.
I mean, okay. I was nervous when I got dressed this morning. I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. So I thought, I actually changed three times.
You do wear it well, but
three times.
It's okay.
3 times. Socks match, by the way.
Look terrible.
Important. Socks match.
Yeah.
But I was concerned, and it was I wanted to make sure you liked it. So anyway, I'm excited that we're doing this, Jon. I think our audience is going to enjoy this, and I hope they'll share it with their friends. And, maybe we're not Wayne's World, Jon, but people are going to enjoy this.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I agree. Until next time.
See you then.
Yeah.